So, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending, how do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Merrill Chandler, and welcome to the Are You Effable podcast. Welcome to the Are You Effable podcast. This podcast is where you learn the tips and techniques of how to become fundable and be able to take down the types of lending and funding opportunities that help you grow your business, your personal life, your quality of life, etc. I'm here with Brad Burnett, my partner and Chief Funding Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Get Shit Done Officer. Welcome back to our show.
Hey, thanks. I'm excited to be here because today's episode we're going to talk about how to make your personal profile a business funding machine. The goose
that lays the golden eggs.
Lays the golden eggs.
Let's talk about how the golden goose, the Aesop's fable, how the golden goose lays those eggs. Because the vast majority of us have spent most of our time cooking the goose. And what I mean by that, it's the metaphor, because we talked about funding machines and gooses that lay golden geese that lay golden eggs. But what we're actually talking about is your personal borrower profile, the credit profile, and how the lenders measure with 40 different measurements, how lenders measure those profiles to see how you treat other people's money, right? How you treat with deference and respect the money that's given to you on your personal side. Well, business lenders use that exact criteria to establish whether or not they want to lend to you in the business. They just kind of amp it up, give you some more and more powerful metrics to meet. Interestingly, we've been taught our whole lives to cook the goose that lays the golden egg. So instead of harvesting eggs for the rest of our lives, when I was a kid, I spent my summers out in my grandparents' ranch, and they had chicken coops. And from 8 years old to 14 years old, one of the first things I did in the mornings was to go get these eggs. Now, some of these, now they weren't geese, they were chickens. So sorry, but the bottom line is that it was renewable resource. These eggs kept coming out of the same hens for years, right? So does business lines of credit. As we've talked in previous episodes, these are renewable resources. So how do we create these golden eggs and not cook our goose? Fire away.
Well, and I want to bring something up because the faithful that have been following us or have binged our podcast know that 80% of a small business, an entrepreneurial business's approval is going to come from their personal profile. And not only come from it, but a qualified personal profile. So if you're just for the first time joining us, and this is the first time you've heard that, this is what I just shared is like
revolution,
the key to your being fundable and having all the money you need to do the deals you want to do, or build the business, or have the capital to grow your business, whatever it is you're looking to do, or invest in a business. Right. One of our clients, we talked about this on another episode. One of our clients was approved through his lender for a business purchase. Yep. So they got started. So it's not just about getting a business line of credit, but you are the person, as Merrill says, you're the person that's going to backstop the approval, because
Absolutely.
Unless you've been doing 10 plus million a year for several years, and I mean several years,
and you have a Standard & Poor's credit rating, I mean right the big boy credit rating, right? You still need a credit rating. It's just Standard & Poor's. Until you're playing that level, you got to personally backstop every credit instrument, every loan line of credit that you're ever going to engage.
And honestly, we can thank the mortgage meltdown for that.
Thank you, 2008.
Pre-2008, not the same ball game. Post-2008, new ball game. So that's why this is important. That's why it's important for you to know how to not cook your golden goose.
Yeah.
Or for metaphor number 3 today, how to not step on the landmines that are going to blow up your goose.
Yeah. So the goose now is crossing the minefield.
Now the goose is in trouble. We're putting our goose in harm's way.
Yeah, stop it. Stop killing your golden goose by making it, blindfolding it, and sending it off through the minefield. Guys, the Brad is hitting the nail on the head here, because your personal profile and all the metrics, FICO measures 40 characteristics of your credit profile. Here's the thing. We call them the FICO 40. Now, FICO would probably, shame me for using it. Hey, you're trademarking a trademark,
right.
Which we're not doing.
We're not doing.
But we call it FICO 40 simply because we want to make it easy for you to understand. And we could get so technical with this stuff. There are 13 scorecards, 8 for positive, 5 for positive, and 8 for negative. And in how they mix up and evaluate and weight these different 40 characteristics.
And since you said it, the scorecard, guys, is a risk analytic that allows the client of FICO, because you're not their client, allows the client of FICO to actually evaluate your risk or their risk, what your risk to them is.
Yes.
The risk you present to them as a borrower if they lend you money. And what does that risk mean? What's the likelihood of them getting paid back?
Yeah.
That and so this whole concept, and I'm about to dance into the weeds, and I'm supposed to be the guy that keeps us on track.
We got this. Hey, we might as well. Hey, we're spitting all over the computer now. It's so excited.
But
I'm not the only one. I have to clean this thing every time I do one of these.
That's brilliant. Because sorry, it's not just 13 scorecards. There are different scoring softwares.
Yes.
Like the risk analytics that go behind a single loan approval are incredible.
Yeah,
and
they're vast.
So to just keep bringing everything back together, if this is your first time, you need to go listen to our other episodes.
Because we're breathing rarefied air at this point, right?
Like if you don't know the rules to this game, you can't win.
Yeah,
it's bottom line, can't win, because Merrill likes to talk about basketball, and so I know when I hear FICO, when I first heard FICO, I just thought my score. I thought there was a score.
One score.
Not a real thing.
Not a thing. Never has been. And our score is based on this amalgamation, right? I'm going to use some big words, 25-cent words, but it's the collective of these 40 characteristics that are being measured. Every single one of them can, to use the basketball metaphor, bench you. You can have too much available credit. You can have too many inquiries. You can have, I'm not going to list all 40 of them, but you can have all these innumerable ways that they're going to say no if it's not balanced and intelligently crafted. We're talking literally a crafted personal credit profile. So the whole point of this episode is that when you know the rules of this game, you can convert your personal profile into a funding machine, a goose that lays golden eggs forever. Guys, these are lifetime plays. You're building, we show you how fundability will build long-term relationships with banks, where you keep telling that bank not only, hey, give me more money, you can trust me with it, but they raise the limits automatically. Go back to the previous episodes. We slay it in there explaining automatic limit increases. But without knowing these rules, as he said, it's going to be a hard and fast no. 40 different ways to get shut down on any of your loan applications. You think you're just filling out an app, and they're like, oh, let's look at all 40 reasons in this application to say yes or no when they review your profile.
Well, and so I think that's a good place to bring up when we talk with almost anyone who's new to fundability, new to being fundable, being a funding hacker, right? One of the first things they say when we say, well, so let's talk about what your fundability looks like. Almost to a person, I pay my bills on time, comes out of their mouth at some point in that conversation.
Yeah.
Merrill,
Let's use the basketball.
Pay my bills on time.
Yeah. Okay. So the storyline is because we speak at real estate investment conferences and business conferences all over the country, right? And what we've come to when we're working at the booth, after we step down from the stage, people come up to us and say, so why do I need, what's this whole funding hacker thing? I've got an 800 plus credit profile. First delusion. I have an 800 plus credit.
Hold on. Most of them don't say profile. Most of them say, I have an 800 plus score.
I have an 800 plus credit score, and many times it's not a FICO score.
It's not a FICO.
It's a FICO score.
If you have an 800 on your Credit Karma, congratulations. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah,
Credit Karma is, I've said it before.
They're the great deceiver.
The great deceiver. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Anyway,
that was kindly.
That's an hour episode by itself.
And it keep binging because you're going to come into it, right? But so we end up coming down from the stage and people are talking to us and they're like, what's this whole funding hacker thing? I've got an 800 plus credit score. Why do I need you guys? I don't need any of this stuff. And so I ask them, so do you know why you have an 800 plus credit score? And they're like, well, because I pay my bills on time. And I'm like, okay, so that's one of 40 things that FICO measures. How you doing on the other 39? You know them, of course. And they're like, no. And I'm like, then you have no freaking clue why you have an 800 plus credit score. And that 800, where's your $1 million in business lines of credit that should come with an 800 profile, crafted, a deliberately crafted profile. And all of a sudden they're like, side drooling. We know those FICO 40. We know those answers. And yes, I credit shame. Forgive me. I ask for forgiveness for all my other people because the ignorance and the delusions are getting under my skin a little bit. I am human. Most people wouldn't agree because they hold me as a credit god, but it's not true. Okay, now we're having our studio audience just about. Yeah. No, the bottom line is, and I will count that. I'm in most rooms that I go into, I know more about consumer and business credit than the vast majority of people in that room, generally speaking.
100%. I will 100% back that statement.
Except when I walk into FICO. Then I am literally the lowliest, stupidest credit person in the room. And I love it. Because that's where we go.
That's where we grow.
That's where we learn everything that we need so we can come up here. So forgive my ignorance and arrogance. It's just that sometimes I get tired of people who innocently, bless their hearts, innocently think they know what they're doing. And I only take them on when they believe to their dying breath that they know.
I want to qualify that a little bit because you
bail me out of this hole.
Yeah, right. Like I'm going to drop a ladder down. Because you are the most gracious and most patient person that I've met when dealing with scenarios, right? And so you say you get tired of. I want to challenge it to the degree that it's you. It's not to get tired of. It's that they dig their heels in and want to argue with you that no, it's fair. This thing. And like I pay my bills on time. That's like playing high school ball
compared to pro ball,
right? You're not even gonna make it to the arena. You're still in high school ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's not that you get tired of the people. I think it's that people have been so
the recalcitrants,
in what now guys, they've been so ingrained in what the bureaus
have taught them
and the marketing of the bureaus
lenders,
have taught them, right? Because if you think about it, you're not the credit bureau's customer. You're their data point.
Yeah.
They are information repositories, and their customers are lenders.
Correct.
And FICO's customers, opposite sides of the world here, FICO's customers are lenders. Now, here's the difference. FICO has a completely different business model than the bureaus do.
Correct.
The bureaus want to cast this wide net, and they want to capture all your information.
Every piece of data you could ever give them.
And they want to capture information that's not even you. Like, if it's kind of maybe you.
File merges.
Right?
Yep.
File merges. And if you don't think this stuff happens, I have somebody in Illinois that every couple of years they pop onto my credit and thank the credit gods. They are good with their credit. Because otherwise, them making a mistake in their data collection, the bureaus, they capture this guy's information. If he didn't pay his bills, it would affect me.
Yeah.
So that's the credit bureaus. They got this big wide net, and they're going to capture all that information. FICO wants the most clear and succinct information possible.
Because they score it.
And they score it so they can tell their customer, the lenders, what your risk is.
Yeah. No, perfect analysis. That's a perfect analysis of this process. Guys, so I am not tired of working with people out in the public, because the whole point of us doing these podcasts is to empower and inspire you. I totally believe that it doesn't have to be this way. It's the people who want to fight with literally the facts. They're like, what FICO 40? And I'm like, okay, maybe that is. So that was a great ladder, right? You got to admit, that was a great ladder to pull me out of that hole. So thank you very much, Brad.
For sure.
This is one of his crazy valuable contributions to our partnership in business, is that he just throws me a line regularly.
Well, it's just because we get excited about what we talk about. So on that note, creating a business funding machine. How do I what are the things that have to be in play to have that business funding machine? I mean, I've got to have the FICO 40, right? So I've got to do all of these things that, guys, honestly, I think, Merrill, you should do a podcast on each of the FICO 40 at some point, where it's just about that.
Yeah, where every single one. Some of them may be 10 minutes long, some may be 30, but it deserves, because guess what? I'll admit it right now. Even our client, we have never done, we're going to send our clients to these podcasts just so they can refresh because we've given them literally, I think it's hundreds now of video training tools, but this is a succinct movement through the technology, and we've never given them all FICO 40.
I would be careful saying that, because we might jump around when something like Paydex raises its ugly head 17 times in, what is it, 5 podcasts, 6 podcasts, whatever we're at now, our episode numbers now.
Yeah, it's coming fast.
So it is clear and succinct, but the point is, not the point. A point would be that our clients have trusted us to take care of them.
Yeah.
Right? So we haven't had to dive into the detail that we are now, because we are giving this to all of the world.
For you for free.
Right? So that if you got every piece of what we teach and do for our clients, it's gonna take you a minute. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but it's gonna be a minute.
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna be able to handle it in the same way. Now, if you want to learn this stuff faster, we talk about it all the time. You guys, we're a business. We have a boot camp. You can come to the boot camp. Go to fundinghackers.com. Check it out. But that's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about being able to put you in a position where you have that
actionable intel
with
today to do
funding
something.
Machine as a profile.
Yeah, those FICO 40 are the first criteria for to turn your personal profile into the funding machine. You got to know what's being measured and then align yourself. So we don't have the graphics here, but at the bootcamp we cover it, in other videos and podcasts we'll cover it. But there's a slide of FICO marketing its website. Marketing to lenders. And the very thing that they're telling the lenders about is our software, our small business scoring service software, is going to measure the FICO 40, and it's going to then link up with your, what they call internal performance data. That's just fancy language for their records on you, the date you pay, the amount you have, the utilization you have, do you realize they know your utilization every single day, and it's part of what's called a 24-month look-back period? Whole episode on that one, geez. But every single piece of data that you are, the breadcrumbs you leave when you create, when you have a credit card, a credit line, an installment loan, a mortgage or auto. All of those, you're leaving breadcrumbs, and they're tracking all of that data, and they call it internal performance data, and that's how they monitor that, what we call those automatic limit increases, right? You get free money without an inquiry, because they're measuring you and your daily performance across 24 months. I am not aware. I'm open to it. You guys let us know at the website. but I'm not aware of a automatic limit increase before 24 months. I'm open that it's possible, but it feels
for a business or for an individual?
An individual, yeah, an individual, because they want to see what the track record looks like, and we have an entire episode on the 24-month look back period, including graphics and details of that website, etc. So, for us to have a funding machine, that our business is the funding machine, then we have to comport ourselves. We've got to create that bulletproof profile. So. So let me tell them. Just recently, I got qualified for another line of credit and business credit cards. This time it was Wells Fargo, and I got they technically approved me, and this was cool. We continue to learn as well, right? Every state is governed by, or every bank is governed by the state in which it resides. So Wells Fargo, California may have subtly or very different underwriting guidelines than Wells Fargo, Utah, because it's governed by state law. So interesting fact, I go and get approved for a $75,000 combined credit between this credit line and a credit and the a credit card. They told me that if I go to the branch, I can raise one and lower the other as long as it didn't exceed the $75,000. So that means it's cheaper money, as you know, to have a credit line. So I've decided to take the 50 credit line and 25 credit card and make it 65 credit line and $10,000 credit card, because it's cheaper money. Write a check, do a deal, right? Hashtag. So the reason why, but
hashtag,
yeah,
write a check, do a deal.
So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is not only I'm still practicing what I preach, but the way I have made my business be a funding machine was by aligning and creating everything necessary in my personal credit profile. But guess what? I'm kind of embarrassed to even say this, but because there was kind of a slight to massive fail in my application process where I stepped on a landmine. All right. So when I was filling out the the loan officer that was filling out the application for me, right? And so filling it all in, foolishly, I did not take a look and review the application before they submit it, because they printed out, is this correct? And I just sign it and send it in, because I told them all the things that I needed to tell them. And the point is that I'm telling them specific data, spelling out names and addresses, aligning my personal credit identity perfectly, all the things that I need to do, right? That's what makes it my personal profile, my personal information, a funding machine. I did not review that application, and I get a call later that afternoon saying, you are conditionally approved for a line of credit. Conditional approval is embarrassing to me because I'm leading this damn charge, right? I'm like, what do you mean conditional approval? That means I'm getting kicked out from automatic underwriting into manual underwriting, and we have to have a human being now get involved. They're pissed and less profitable, but I'm embarrassed because this is my game. You know what happened? The gentleman who was completing the application put in my personal, in the personal identity field for my personal address, copied my business address. So red flag, red flag, red flag. If your business address and your personal address is identical, you're going to get, in this case, I got kicked into manual underwriting. If you don't have the experience that I have, you might actually get denied out of hand, right? So and then I take my credit advisor with me, who happens to be our other partner, Jessica, and I go into this, and I'm like befuddled. Oh no, here's the correct one. I pulled up my FICO credit report. I look at it all. No, my address is correct. They put it in, and they approve me. Jessica goes in and reviews my application, and guess what? It was wrong on the application that I signed, but didn't review.
There's the mistake.
Huge mistake. I told him verbally, I did not put it in myself, and then I didn't review it before I signed it. Massive landmine. The thing is you don't even know what to check for when you're filling out your applications. That's why When you know the rules of this game, you know how to hack and navigate through these waters. Your profile, just like mine, another 75 grand. But I had to go through manual underwriting. Please forgive me, all my clients and all my students, because that's a cautionary tale for me to not get arrogant, which sometimes I can. But I failed. And thankfully, I had enough juice in my personal profile that the funding machine only clicked. Oh, and I had to
it glitched.
It glitched, and I was able to save it. But guys, no bueno.
Now, brilliant share. Thanks for the honesty. That's very raw. I want to bring up one thing about that though. The why. Like, okay, so what? They had the same address. He copied and pasted. So when you again go back and just think about what this automatic underwriting system is designed to do. Okay. It is designed to protect the bank's money, right? And what are they trying to protect it from the most right now?
Fraud. Absolutely. And
fraud. It's rampant in the United States.
And if they look at every data point, guys, you don't even understand. I'm Merrill Chandler, Merrill Ray Chandler, Merrill R Chandler. Before I knew what I was doing, each one of those are different data points that will get me kicked out of underwriting because they don't know which data point set they're lending their money to. That's why the funding machine got glitched, because this data point, when they look at my credit bureau and they see my real residence address, and then they look at the application, that's a no for many or most people, and it kicked me into manual underwriting.
And one of the things that has been a tripping point or a massive landmine for a lot of people in the past is that, well, yeah, but it's the same address as your business, so it's obvious that it's linked to you. It's obvious that it's yours, but that's not how automatic underwriting systems work. They look at it and go, is it the same? Yes or no?
Algorithms say perfect match, not street versus ST. Perfect match, yes, or perfect match, no. And they will deny you on non-perfect matches because there are... Do this one. If I Google my residence address and I just put 1925 South and nothing else, there are going to be like 400 Google addresses that come up. 400 of them. And then I put a...
No, we're not going to share the whole address, right?
If I put a... Yeah, exactly. They'll be like, oh, well, we narrowed this down.
Now we know where he's at.
Come on over. We're barbecuing on Saturday.
We're swimming.
Yeah, the pool's out back. You guys will see. We're going to do some of these out at the pool. You know we're going to do some of these out at the pool. But the bottom line is the data points are what matter. And it doesn't matter if you think it's important or not, guys. Don't care. You're going to get denied, and you're going to hit these landmines and blow up every time, just like you've been blowing up in the past. They matter, and street versus ST matters to this underwriting software because fraud is the single greatest loss of lender dollars in the country, right? Not defaults, fraud. So FICO has nailed the default model with their business and personal scoring. They've created Falcon, and there's a whole bunch of systems out there. We'll go over those.
And the banks have early warning systems.
Yep.
Oh
Everybody's got that. There is a lot. They call it early warning system. Like there's bank fraud going on here. And each one of these, they're gonna have their own episode, guys. There's so much juice out here to be able to squeeze. But just know, whether you think it's important, it's important. And me having the same address, like Brad said, should be no big deal. It's related. But that's just a point of fraud. Why aren't they using the true personal address?
What's reflected in the bureau
data. Yep.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line. So that these automatic underwriting systems don't have the discernibility to go, oh, clearly Merrill R and Merrill are the same person. They don't have that discernibility.
No.
And so you have to be that dead on nails accurate.
Yeah.
And I would have done the My Cousin Vinny reference, but I chose not to. Right there. But you got to be that accurate.
That's a great show. Yeah. No.
In all of your data, you have to be.
And there are 29 Merrill Chandlers in the credit bureau databases.
Yeah.
That's not a common name. You Chad Smiths out there are it. So you've got to dial in. Plus, the way we build, we're going to have probably 2 or 3 episodes on personal credit identity, building a bulletproof identity. But that's the only way we actually can stop having our data stolen. Because the more specific your data is, then the less wiggle room there are. Because remember, the software is looking for Merrill R, Merrill Ray. They're looking for all of this. When we do it right, if it's any variation off of the perfect personal credit identity that you craft, they'll deny anything that isn't perfect. Now, that's great news for us protecting our identity, and it's great news for them. One more time. It's great news for them because they'll get to say no if it's not a perfect match. Beauty is one more way. This is why our funding hackers revolution is taking hold, is because it's a win for lenders and for borrowers. You protect your identity from theft, and they protect themselves from fraud, and from the same freaking data points. So no joke, guys. The way to make your personal profile a funding machine is by aligning all of your data, your revolving accounts, installment loans, derogatory accounts. Do you realize it's better to have 3 collections if they're all identical across all 3 bureaus than to have one collection on one bureau and have deleted from the other bureaus? Another thing credit repair doesn't account for, right? There are so many ways that FICO measures this data, all those scorecards. 8 of them, 8 different risk analyses for depending on the type of negative credit you have. So, yeah, it's a thing.
Well, and just to touch on, you reference having the right revolving accounts. That's going to be your credit cards, right? Anything that you use and pay off and use again, that's going to be your revolving. Then your installment loans, your automobile, your mortgages. If you've a student loan,
personal loan,
personal loans, right? Here's the other key, and we talk about this in all of our episodes. You've got to have the right accounts, not just have accounts, and not just have them be equal on all the bureaus, because you can have a perfectly reflected reporting profile and not have it be a fundable
it's not
business profile.
A high-quality profile, a fundable profile. Because, like we said in previous episodes, Chase is not going to give you a $100,000 commercial loan on your Home Depot or Victoria's Secret reputation,
so
guys.
You've not only got to have it reporting accurately, have all the data points in play, but you got to have the right ones. And we'll talk more about that.
We're going to cover all this, guys.
Talk more about
Just
that.
keep binging.
Merrill loves you to binge. So subscribe, download, share this with your friends. Have a funding
a watch party.
Have an RUFable watch party or listen party, however you do.
Because this is way more applicable to your lives than even Game of Thrones was, right?
And
how many
it's
watch
over,
parties?
so who cares?
Yeah, and Game of Thrones not only is over, but this is going to have far more episodes than Game of Thrones will ever have.
Absolutely, and I don't even want to get into that last final episode.
We won't.
We promise our interest in what we're doing will not wane.
Yes, we're not going to be attracted by some other project. This is the bottom line, guys.
Hashtag Jon Snow forever.
No. Hashtag when will the dragon come back?
Yeah. Hashtag where's my dragon?
So you guys, loved having you here. We'll pick up the next episode, but go to fundinghackers.com, get the lowdown on everything that we're doing and what actionable intel. You're going to hear me say those words forever. Actionable intel. We are giving you actionable intel because one of the Merrillisms that I love the most is only the truth is actionable. So we're here to at least tell you how the game is played. What you do with it is your business. You want a little bit more? Go check out the boot camp. Go check out my book, fundinghackers.com/book. Check out everything that we got because this is going to change your life. It's already changed your life. If this is your 4th or 5th episode, you know shit's changing in the undercurrents of how you're working and looking at your profile and your business. So
100%.
Well done.
Well done. Well done. Remember, fundinghackers.com/blog. Go to Credit Sense and or Funding Hackers on Facebook. Follow us, like us. We'll do some Facebook Lives that'll be a little different than the podcast. And guys, we appreciate all of the input and the feedback and the downloads and the shares. Keep it up. We'll keep it up. And we will see you on the next episode.
Peace. Hey guys, thank you for listening to Are You Effable? Please leave comments because I would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit fundinghackers.com to view the blog post, get important links, join our community, and much, much more. And you gotta tell your friends about this podcast. We want them to become effable too.